Human trafficking and modern slavery are both abhorrent crimes. Human trafficking is really, in its rawest sense, about the movement of a person having been recruited and then holding them by fear or threat, whether physically or psychologically, to perform a job or work against their will, exploiting them, paying them little or no money at all. I suppose the subtle difference might be that modern slavery doesn't require that movement or recruitment element. Modern slavery in actual fact is about holding people, forcing them to work against their will or compelling them to do something they wouldn't want to ordinarily do. You know, we can forgive people for thinking that all victims of modern slavery and human trafficking come from other countries. National Crime Agency statistics actually tell us that the majority of those victims of modern slavery here in the United Kingdom actually originate from here within the UK.
You know, people with learning difficulties, people with substance misuse or homelessness, they're targeting them, selling them a dream of a better life, better prospects, a house, a job, lots of money, and actually the reality of that is it doesn't come to fruition. ID documents are taken, passports are taken to maintain control over that individual. They're put in accommodation, which is usually significantly substandard, high risk accommodation without bare wires, and usually very, very cramped. There'll be more than one person in there. The debt that is in a victim's story will be around their work finding fees, their transportation fees, accommodation fees, and anything else that an exploiter would use to take money off that person.
And the reality is that people don't trust the authorities because it's ingrained in their minds by the traffickers not to trust law enforcement agencies, not to trust the authorities, and they won't readily accept the support that's offered them. You know, it's very difficult to overcome that. And sometimes what they think to themselves is that the situation they're in, although it's bad, it's better than what they've had before. I suppose really the National Crime Agency were formally telling us that any one time here in the United Kingdom we had 13,000 victims. But they've changed really sort of their tact on that now, and actually they're informing us there's tens of thousands of victims here in the United Kingdom. And of course then worldwide, when we could have 25 million people.
What's really important is that businesses understand their own risk, they assess their own risk, and not only do they come up with programmes to address those risk areas, they share those learnings with other businesses and come together in true collaboration, because this space is definitely not a competitive space. It's definitely about collaborating to essentially to eliminate modern slavery, or, you know, in the interim, to make your business as toxic as possible to those that would seek to exploit it.
Say on a residential build, you might see people who are working past the hours that you might expect a building project to be continuing. You might see people with the lights on, say at 11 o'clock at night, going to sleep there. On a small scale, on a bigger scale, you might see groups of people being dropped off by somebody who's controlling them. Maybe they're doing all the speaking and the workers are, you know, kind of looking a little bit vulnerable or withdrawn. And that person then might pick them up at the end of the day. And that's a control mechanism to make sure that they have control over where they're going and who they're, you know, kind of, they're going to work and then they're coming back home. You might also see the absence of things that you would expect to see. So usually in break times, people might be talking about what they're doing at the weekend or what's going on in their lives. On a big project where you've got lots of different subcontractors and staff working, some people might not engage in that conversation because A, they're fearful, they might not have the language skills, but also being exploited, there's a real trust issue there, so they don't want to draw attention to themselves and get taken off that site because they're in debt to these exploiters.
Logistics has a real particular role to play in terms of being the kind of eyes and ears, not only in our own business operations, but also out in communities or out in construction generally, when delivering goods. I think there's a real power and a real opportunity for marshals to demonstrate what can be done, and then to quickly actually engage both suppliers with logistics operations, customers with logistics operations, and very much encourage them to do the same, so we have many more eyes and ears out assisting.
It impacts the individuals who are victims of it so significantly. It is the way they are treated is so degrading, is so it's just the worst way to treat people.
Marshalls very much knows that its employees, its people are really very smart people, and that if we're providing training and information, they can easily assess that information and essentially be empowered to make a call. And I think that's the message really. It's make a judgment call in terms of if you've seen something that you're unhappy with or makes you feel uncomfortable in relation to modern slavery. So make a judgment call, and then the only other thing we would ask is that you make a call to the most appropriate place or agency to help. So whether that is indeed 999 if you think somebody's life's in danger, whether it's the National Modern Slavery Helpline, whether it's an NGO helpline, or indeed whether it's, in Marshall's case, whether it's a Modern Slavery Ambassador or calling myself, just simply make a call. Make the judgment call, make the phone call, that's it, job done. Because ultimately it's, in reporting, it's about keeping the reporter safe and also keeping that individual safe and not making things any worse for them than they are presently.